Welcome into the Cheeley Law Review. My name is Ben Burnett. Today's topic is jury selection. Bob Cheeley, how are you?
Better than I deserve.
I see what you did there. One of the early parts of a potential trial is jury selection. Talk to me about what you look for and what that process is like and what you talk to your clients about.
Jury selection is the most important part of a trial that a lot of lawyers just overlook and take for granted. It's so important. Going into a case, you've got to decide, okay, what is the theme of this case going to be? What's the central theme? What's this case? How can I summarize this case to a jury in 30 seconds or a minute? You've got to really have a laser focus on what you want to be able to convey to the jury that the case is about, and you've got to have an idea as to what kind of juror do you want for this case. And a lot of times we'll get a list of the jurors ahead of time, and the judge will give us permission through the court to submit some questioning, like a questionnaire to the jury. So you don't have to spend much time while you're there meeting them for the first time, understanding what their views are on certain things.
Do you get to craft that?
Yeah.
What are typical questions?
Yeah, we ask questions like, have any of you ever had to go to court to get a right, something that was wrong, righted? Have any of you ever had a friend or family member or someone very close to you suffer catastrophic injuries, and what role did you play in helping to care for that person? Have any of you, in a business case, have any of you ever been the victim of unethical or even fraudulent conduct by a business partner? If so, without getting into too much detail, tell me, how did you deal with that issue? Did you go to court, or did you just take your losses and your lumps and move on? Do any of you have a problem with when you read about other verdicts? You think, how in the world did that jury come up with that much money? And do any of you have a maximum amount that you would never go beyond, no matter what the facts were in a particular case? I'm just trying to weed out people there that say, I'd never give more than $1 million or whatever, because the law does not allow those people to serve on a jury. But you darn sure want to know who they are. If people do have strongly held opinions like that, you want to make sure you know who they are so that you can get them off that jury.
As you're evaluating people, does the profile change based on the case that you're about to try on behalf of your client, or are there common themes in the individuals in the jury pool?
There are some things that are common for the most part. I mean, one of the questions I like to ask is, what kind of TV shows do you like to watch? That tells you a lot about, some folks, maybe their political leanings, and you want to know how they spend their free time. What do they enjoy doing? And if it's a case involving serious injuries to my client, then one of the questions I want to ask jurors is, do any of you find it hard to put a value on your quality of life outside of earning a paycheck or going to school and getting a certain degree? All of you value your free time. Do all of you value time spent with family where you're not receiving compensation, for like you would at work? And the reason I ask those questions is because I want to know, and most people will agree that they value their quality of life just as much as they value their work life. And if that quality of life was taken away from them, then they would expect to be compensated for it.
When you walk in and you've got a room full of people, like you look at me right now, what are the first handful of questions that you're going to ask based on profile, age, race, gender, what I'm wearing, have a fancy watch, do I not have a fancy watch? I mean, do you size all those things up in your own mind, or is that something that you really kind of want to wait and see on?
Well, I've got a seating chart, and I've got each person's name written down across that chart. The judge typically brings them in and puts them in the audience of the courtroom so that he'll bring in 48 to 60 jurors to choose from to wind up with 12. And so you've got to be very organized, and you've got to have somebody there to help you to write all these people's names down. And then we've got a set of questions that we began to ask them that we know we want to cover to the whole group. And then we'll come back and ask them individual follow-up questions of those jurors. But yeah, typically I don't want somebody who, when I look at them, they don't smile. If they're an unhappy person, I don't want them on a jury, because unhappy people generally don't care about other people. That's what I want, is I want people who care about their fellow men. And I tell the jurors that America is the only country in the history of the world where you've got a right to a trial by jury to, in a civil case, to recover for damages due to wrongful conduct. England, where a lot of our laws came from, about the only thing you can sue for in England is defamation. There's tons and tons of defamation cases.
Yeah, with the tabloids, that's about all they have time for.
Yeah, but I just remind them that our founders
wanted that to be a fundamental change.
Yeah, and it had as its highest order the protection of property and the personal interests of the citizens.
This has been another episode of the Cheeley Law Review. Thank you for your time today.